What's up, DBI? Riz here, and we're going to do another roleplay review, this time for a Gene log called Back to the Start. And in this log, it's Gene. It's a Gene solo story. Very short and sweet and to the point, but the reason that we're doing a video review for this one is because I really liked it. I actually loved this story. I loved the setup to it. I love all the things that it's doing for the character of Gene. I love what it's doing for the story that's being told with Canvas, and I love that Gene is finally out on her own. This is her first solo quest. This is the first time we've ever seen Gene do something without Cordio there for her, without Ariel, Hypo, even Torque, Saliath, anybody. This is just Gene. And I love that you guys, all role play together. I love that everybody, kind of has these notes for one another. Everybody's on the same page for what the story is going to be doing and how it's going to be told. But little moments like this where characters break off and do their own thing, it to me is amazing, right? It's letting me know that rather than be one big giant clique, we're more of a community that comes together, breaks apart. Friends leave, they go do other things. And to me, it's like a little less formulaic and a little more just open to the idea of roleplay. And so for those of you who haven't read this log, it's pretty simple. It's pretty short and to the point. Gene is pretty much just following the next day after her and Saliath have done their flight training, is kind of flying on her own. And what kind of confused me at the very beginning is that, it says in the log, following the day that Saliath taught her how to fly in the skies on her own, she is flying through the depths of outer space as well. And before I finished that sentence, I was like, wait, what? Like, no, we can't just fly through space, guys. But that's in her own personalized spacecraft. And I was like, okay, I should just keep reading. Yeah. But yeah, Gene gets basically like a loaned ship from Saliath and flies out on her own. And one of the things that I really loved about this log is that it took something that I mentioned in a review previously, and it did the same thing, but it expanded it just enough to where it's like, okay, that makes sense. So Gene is leaving Earth, and she's leaving Earth by herself, and she's going to Hydia. She's looking for someone. She wants to find Torque. We don't know really the reason. She doesn't kind of tell us why she's looking for Torque. She just needs to go talk to Torque for some reason. And she doesn't say goodbye to anybody. She doesn't say goodbye to Saliath, doesn't say goodbye to Cordio, Ariel, nobody. And her reason is like she just doesn't want to do it. She just doesn't want to say goodbye because the way I read it, it would probably stop her from going. And the trip is going to take her 2 weeks. And in the 2 weeks, it's just a very short post too. It's just saying that she'd pass the time with a lot of video games. She would watch a lot of TV. She would train herself physically, and that had become a pretty standard way for her to pass her time. But we know two things. We know, one, it's going to take her 2 weeks. Two, we know what she did in those 2 weeks. And, for the sake of telling the story that Gene wanted to tell here, it didn't need to actually be filled with anything. We didn't need to see her like doing her physical training. It wasn't anything too intense. If it was something where, she was expecting any red points out of this, I would like, well, we need to see that type of training. But, I'm imagining like push-ups, sit-ups, jogging, just stretches, just basic stuff like that. Stuff more to like fill an hour or two rather than to like actually get stronger. But what I said before in the other log is that we got from Earth to Vegeta and back all in one log. She goes from Earth to Hydia, but it takes a journey. It takes a leg, and we filled that gap with the post that I read, and then the very next post is, but those 2 weeks would pass before she even knew it. Time had a habit of doing that to her lately, and boom, she's on Feldron. And that's it. It was just like, we just need to know, like, okay, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks have gone by, this also gives the players who, Saliath, Cordio, Ariel, they can do something within those 2 weeks of being like, yeah, like, she's gone and this happened, right? Like, she could even miss the whole Luxoria conflict resolution because she's gone for these 2 weeks, right? Like, that little bit breathe space is where she's gone. So I really thought that was really good. And the rest of the log is just, she's kind of reliving what happened on Hydia. She's walking through the city, kind of going through and retelling like the story that we've already seen. It's kind of like when you play a video game, you clear the first area, you go do some other stuff, and then you come back and it's like, oh yeah, I fought that boss there, and oh yeah, that looks like that because I had that, battle. And oh yeah, this is where I learned that technique, and it was just really good. This log, everything here is done really well. And to sum it all up, all she does is she goes to what looks to be a canvas base. She introduces, and Jean introduces their own NPCs that are a part of Canvas. It's woven in very well. It feels very natural. It's not the same group of people. At least I've never seen these people. It's not the same group of people that we normally see, and we kind of get caught up. We get Canvas caught up with what's going on with Hypo on Vegeta, and it's kind of like she is the one that tells them like, yeah, Hypo was actually fighting Ymir. This is a big deal. And then Canvas itself, the person that she tells is kind of like, okay, like, don't tell anybody. We don't need Canvas to know that, the head honcho of this place is running into a fight with the Emperor directly if it doesn't go too well. And Jean finds out that Torque is actually not on Hydia. Torque is on Nighello. So now Jean has another leg of her journey. So this was just kind of like a pit stop. And that's really much it. I mean, again, I thought this log was done very well. This log was great. That's why I'm doing a video review on it. And I just kind of read it in 30 minutes on my lunch break today. But yeah, it was really good. Good job, Jean. I'm curious to see where this story is going to go. But I'm really glad to see that Jean's finally off on her own, doing her own thing. So good luck, kid. And I guess I'll see the rest of you guys next time.